And that is because of ego, human ego. We are going back into uncivilized environments. Why do we have to go back into that dark history? And you see world powers now trying to say, you man, don't invade, withdraw your forces. And the other man of Russia, Putin, is saying, you men of Ukraine, get off from the barracks, disarm yourselves, go to your dear wives and sleep. We don't want you. Just go. And is it time? He says, if you continue arming yourselves, you are going to see a history that will never have, that has never taken place. You will regret, because you will get consequences the world has never seen. So we pray over that situation, and I think we are part of the world because we are a global village. We can be easily sucked into all that. So let's pray over that. But this is not somber down your moods. This is a very good day for us. God is going to intervene because we have survived COVID-19. I think that one is also going to go. I'm bringing that allegory and symbolism of the world powers, but here we have the powers that are running, I think, living. This is the government of Uganda and the other government. Actually, civil society is called the alternative government. But central government of Uganda and local government, they are saying we are the government. We are supposed to play a lot of, to lead development and to lead governance. You keep quiet. Sometimes those things have happened in Uganda, haven't they? And they have been happening, especially when politics flare up with other alternative governance. We have seen some of the NGOs ordered to pack their things and go because they are talking about other things that are unpalatable to government. So human ego is very dangerous. What we should be doing is cooperating, all of us, to ensure that we coexist. Because government sometimes is weak on the ground. We cannot do as government all things that should be done to improve humanity. There are things where government cannot reach every and part of the human existence and provision of services. If we say that, we should be blind ourselves. Much as Russia is saying, Ukraine, you're a puppet, you're a weak thing. We are strong. We have the marshal. So you don't govern Ukraine. You go away. But Ukraine is saying we are independent, so we are in an independent state. So please, also go away from us. But the two have been under one former state, USSR. All what they have to do is to cooperate, to make sure that they provide for the human beings that are there. But because of human ego, everybody is now wanting to suck in all others in order to show superiority. In this world, nobody is superior against another, because there are very many consequences of disunity and not uniting, because we have an unattended population, we have an escalation of poverty, we have oppressed people, we have unserved people if we don't cooperate. So I am happy with Mr. Kakuru of uniting, getting this very, very, very good vision of having all CSOs, NGOs, faith-based organizations come together so that they unite and serve where government is not serving. You are our partners in development. You are not alternative government, nor is government enough to cover all aspects of human existence. I take this opportunity to welcome you to Kabale, the Switzerland of Africa, to Kigezi actually, from Kabale. Kabale is a central part of Kigezi, where we have Ruchiga, Rwanda, Kisoro, Rukunjiri. All those, they are united under the mighty people of Kigezi. I like your song. We played it here, the national Chiga Nation song, Kigezi. It is so wonderful. The words are very good. And I think you are people who have the Magezi. The Kigezi people are wise people, intelligent people. They cannot fail to unite to help themselves in situations of dire human need. So thank you for inviting me, Mr. Kakuru. I had a very heavy schedule. After this one, I will beg to go because there is a back meeting which I have to attend and other important activities of the district. But this is not to say that you are not very important. You are highly important because you are partners in development. I take this opportunity to make this meeting very open and warm. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edmond Ntimba, our Chief Administrative Officer, Kabale. Thank you for opening this event, and we can comfortably go on. Yagamba hakintu ky'omwetunguro ngo mubi munonga nicho rukurebera rashirwe ni etahirire Ukraine ekandi yagira muri kirungi munongo kwapatanisa ibintu byinshi bikorwa turwanisa ubworo tureta hentunguka kandi yasima munonga ebitongore byona ebyizire hamwe okubaza gukora ekitebe kimwe ekyo kubareta hamwe ekya Kigezi Civil Society Forum kandi ngo kiteekateekwa ekyo ni kirungi ngo murya bakwatanama na government okureba ngo obuhereza abantu babasa kutunga kurungi yebale munonga omwami Edmond Ntimba nikawo ninga shidisi niwe akawo ahabwa district ya Kabale Chief Administrative Officer. At this moment, allow me to please invite the Executive Director of the NGO firm, Uganda National NGO firm, Mr. Isoba Moses, to please come and address this event. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity of giving me this chance to speak to you. My name is Moses Isoba, and I was invited to make a keynote address. And so I started thinking, how should this look like? Should it be an academic piece? Should it be a piece that speaks to civil society? So I have a written presentation which I will speak to without necessarily reading it. As I said, my name is Moses Isoba. I'm the Executive Director of the Uganda National NGO Forum. I want to recognize the Executive Director of the NGO Bureau, Mr. Stephen Okello. Mr. Stephen Okello is both our regulator and neighbor. I want to recognize the staff of GIZ, or the development partners, and to thank you for the invitation. Let me start by making a quotation here. As a civil society, we are at a point in the debate at which serious questions are being raised about the ability of NGOs in this country, in the region and elsewhere to meet their long-term goals of social justice and transformation at a time when the development sector is perhaps narrowly focusing on short-term results, short-term projects. That said, I would like again to refer to the strategy of the Uganda National NGO Forum. Our strategy as the Uganda National NGO Forum is premised on an iconographic imagery of a person that you all know, Martin Luther, in a speech that he gave way back. And he was asking, what is in your life is blueprint? What is in your life is blueprint? As the Uganda National NGO Forum, and I guess for everybody, those that work for civil society, we are at a point where we recognize that NGOs in this country should answer a similar question. What is in the NGO's life blueprint? As the Uganda National NGO Forum, we have learned over the almost 2 decades of our existence that our blueprint will be anchored on 3 things. And those are some of the things that Kigezi Civil Society Forum will be able to take note of. Your organizational worth, your determination to achieve excellence, and most important, the commitment to the duty of service to the citizens of this country. We are launching Kigezi Civil Society Forum, and it is by design that we are not launching Kigezi NGO Forum. We are launching Kigezi Civil Society Forum. There is a clear dichotomy between civil society and NGOs. And I'm glad that the NGOs in this country, and the NGOs in this region shows that no, we would like to come back together and launch Kigezi Civil Society Forum. NGOs should be seen just as one actor in the main civil society space. But there are a number of other actors in civil society that we as NGOs should endeavor to work with. Actors that Kigezi Civil Society Forum would endeavor to work with. This could be teachers in their configurations, could be medical workers in their configuration, could be cooperatives in their configurations, could be border associations in their different configurations, and different citizen information. All these may not necessarily fall under the realm of the definition of NGOs, but they fall under the definition of civil society. And as you kick off Kigezi Civil Society Forum, it's going to be very important that you pay attention, you create linkages, and be deliberate to work with all these different actors in order to be able to push the agenda ahead and also be able to be part of the development of this country. But that said, as you launch Kigezi Civil Society Forum today, I think it is important that we address ourselves to some of the challenges that we face as NGOs in this country, and what in a way hinders us to be able to deliver on our mission. And this is what awaits you in Kigezi as well. First of all, as Kigezi Civil Society Forum, it's going to be very important that you strengthen your roots with the public. Our work as civil society, our work as NGOs, is to ensure that we are deeply rooted in the public. We must be embedded in the societies that we work with. I often want to ask a question, and Kigezi Civil Society Forum should also ask the same question. And I pray that you don't die. But in the unlikely event that you die, who will be able to attend your funeral? As civil society in Uganda, as NGOs in this country, this is a question that we need to continually remind ourselves. If we died, who will be able to attend our funeral? Would there be flowers? Would it be would there be eulogies? Or the Banya Kigezi would come to find out that we are really dead and buried? So it is important that as Kigezi Civil Society Forum, from the word go, you are deeply connected to the people that you have actually made a decision to serve. Another structural constraint that you may want actually to address yourself to is unfortunately the rising bureaucracy in the aid industry. We have development partners who support us. They support us on fairly very short projects. The kind of work that we set ourselves to do in terms of addressing the social and improving the social indicators of our people will never be addressed in 3 months, will never be addressed in 6 months, will never be addressed in even a year. But we get support for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. And while that is good, we just need to make sure that we never take our eyes away from the main goal of actually being able to ensure that we're working with communities to improve their social indicators. And always to know that those nearest to the ground have the solutions. We may speak English, we may speak all the development jargon, but the people in the communities who we are going to be serving as Kigezi Civil Society Forum, that we must make sure that they are the ones that we're listening to. Even important for Kigezi Civil Society Forum as we launch today is to remain aware of the multiplicity of the administrative and legislative requirements that we must fulfill. In our midst is the Executive Director of the NGO Bureau. We as NGOs, the NGO Bureau remains our regulator and an enabler. It remains that before we operate, we definitely need to ensure that we're in compliance. But that is not all. There are other administrative and legislative requirements that we must abide by. It's going to be very important that as Kigezi Civil Society Forum, we are abiding by that. And that will help us to be able to debunk the negative narratives that we are hearing. There are many, and these are patently false narratives, but it's going to be incumbent upon us as Kigezi Civil Society Forum to ensure that these negative narratives are debunked. Another important thing, and as I was seeing the lineup of the people, I always like to look at the sector, and I use the analogy of hippos and cheetahs. The old ones like myself, I consider myself a hippo. The young ones who are on the social media, who are on the Twitter streets, are the cheetahs. We are a young country, and we are going to remain a young country for a number of years. It's therefore important that Kigezi Civil Society Forum remains acutely alive that we are a young country, and therefore be conscious and deliberate in ensuring that young people are making decisions in Kigezi Civil Society Forum. The hippos need to give way for the cheetahs. We need to be consciously supporting the cheetahs, which is the next tier of leaders to be able to take over. Now, could we re-energize, refocus, and repurpose our sector? A shift towards a stronger, more interconnected civil society is what we need now more than ever before. We have worked in our own small units, but the fact that Kigezi Civil Society Forum is coming together to bring KIG, to bring Obudu, to bring a number of other things, that is the unity that is actually needed in the sector if we are going to be able to engage. We need that unity. We need to ensure that as a civil society we are working together, we are consolidating our different expertise, we are consolidating our different strengths. Unity as a sector is critical and very important if we are going to re-energize, we are going to refocus, and we are going to repurpose the sector. So for us as Uganda National NGO Forum, it's a platform. It really gives us great pleasure to see that the civil society in the region is coming together. It's not being fragmented, but coming together, uniting to be able to work. And as I said right at the beginning, it's going to be important that you are able to leverage other forms of civil society who may not necessarily fall in the mainstream of NGOs. If there is anything that COVID-19 has taught us, and we will, as we celebrate that the pandemic is behind us, people talk about pandemic X. Whatever the X is, we don't know. But who knows, there might be another pandemic. It is going to be very important that as a sector, we are able to repurpose our programs, we are able to be more prepared, and I think the uniting of the civil society in this region is one step in the right direction in terms of preparedness. But let me turn gears here and perhaps put more emphasis to be making this presentation in the presence of the Executive Director of the NGO Bureau. I have to make sure that what I speak is what I ought to speak. And therefore, it would be important of me to speak without putting emphasis on compliance. When you make a decision that you are coming together as a civil society forum, you're definitely going to be as strong as your membership, and you're going to be as weak as your membership. And there are going to be two important aspects that we need to pay attention to. One is the aspect of what I call procedural legitimacy. Being able to ensure that you are complying to all the administrative and legislative requirements. You have an MOU with cover the district, you have an MOU with the different districts, and in that way, you then remain in the good books with the cow, not just the cow of Kabari, but the cow of all the other districts. You are able to take advantage of the district NGO monitoring committees. That becomes very important. Then if we are able to do that, the Bureau will be the forest to which we run to when the devil chases us. Because one day the devil is going to chase us. But we want to make sure that when we run to the Bureau will open up our hands, and when they check and say, okay, come in, how are you in terms of your compliance, they will be found wanting. The other important aspect that we definitely, as Kigezi Civil Society Forum, listening to Mr. Kakulu, he went through that, we want to be transparent, we want to be accountable, and all those things. It's very important that as a forum, that we remain truly wedded to these very positions. That they are not only put there, but you remain truly wedded to these very positions. Very, very important. We also need a honest dialogue with our development partners. Very honest dialogue. As I say, We have had, as NGO forum, we literally is a state, the EU CSO structured dialogue process. We think that's an important space that enables us to be able to be brutally honest with the development partners and be able to tell them what works and what doesn't work. And as Kigezi Civil Society Forum, as you launch today, it's very important that, to understand and always appreciate that as a sector, we are suffering what, for lack of a better word, I call intellectual constipation. We are not reading, we are not analyzing, we are not theorizing enough. It's very important that we forget about the donor-driven evaluations, the quarterly and annual reports. Those are not enough. We need to continuously learn, continuously relearn, continuously unlearn if we are going to be, as a sector, intellectually robust, to be able to produce knowledge products from this region, which we can actually be able to share with other civil society forums elsewhere. And therefore, as the Uganda National NGO Forum, it is our pleasure to be associated with Kigezi Civil Society Forum. Our sincere hope is that you will be a force to reckon with in the region, and we welcome you as you are officially being midwifed today. And we, as Uganda National NGO Forum, we commit to hold your hand. It is for that reason that I would like to introduce to you Sarah Pechuto, who is our team leader at the Uganda National NGO Forum. Her key role as a team leader of civil service strengthening is to provide capacity development support. And being here right now, she's going to be able to keenly follow up with Kigezi Civil Society Forum. We will make sure that Kigezi Civil Society Forum does not face infant mortality of dying after 1 year. And Sarah will ensure that you are properly immunized against those diseases that cause infant mortality, and it could be diseases of compliance. She would be to be able to inoculate you. It could be diseases of lack of compliance. She has the vaccine. It may be the fact that we need to be living our values to ensure that Kigezi Civil Society Forum, the first thing we will be looking at is to be a candidate of PROM, of the Quality Assurance Certification Mechanism. Once you do that, then you know that you have gone through all the inoculations. And when the devil chases you, there is a forest which you can run to. Thank you and God bless.
Bless you to Mr. Isoba Moses, the Executive Director, Uganda National NGO Forum. Thank you very much. Yanagambo Rimurunchereza, and ninyenda okufunza mukacha bw'abahuliriza biyita Voice of Kigezi FM. I would like to translate a bit and maybe in brief. Yagamba hakintu ekya civil society uko mwine kwebuzaho ebitongole birikorera abantu inebuze mukino gwani mwebuza hakubasa ko ebitongole bitari mwe na bimwe okubasa kwikyeriza ebitenderwa byanyu obwire buringwa kandi obwe turi omubwire ayitukwenda kureba empinduka mu bantu baitu omu projects korabira omu projects ezikuba nizikorwa habwakire kagufu kandi yagamba hakintu ekya omunyabwenge omwe Martin Luther King nka NGO Forum ngo bine strategy ninga shenkora yabo iyi bari kwejinisa nabuza nagira ngo kiri omucyapa cyawe nikiya what's in your life's blueprint ngo ekiri omucyapa cy'amagara gawe nikiha ngo kekitongore mwebuze mwebuze enshonga egyo mugarukemu ekyo kibuuzo kandi n'ebintu bishatu mushime kuteekateekaho oburemeezi ningashi eratiri nimuremeera kiro zingahi eratiri zingahi ka ekitongole okwehayo kureba mwahika businguzi nana okukora kurungi omu kuheereza abantu okwehayo okuheereza abantu ebihangeeri kandi nabwe yagumizamu arikugira ngu turikutongozaho harikubaho okutongozaho Kigezi Civil Society Forum ekitebe eki nikirungi munonga kufayo okureba ngu mwahikirira aha kuronda ebiramareho oburemeezi obw'ebitongole birikuvugana omu ihanga kandi birikurabamu arikugira ngu mwongere amaani omu mizi mwine omu bantu roots with the public nikikuru munonga kuguma mwine connection egyo ningashi muri omu bantu okwo yagamba oburemeezi bwa enshonga eya ekijegye kikongera kubaho omu bya empapwezi konka nagira ngu natwantugana oburemeezi obwe noraba omuri mingi kuza kuhika kutunga obwezi ningashi obushagiki nga ebitongole ebirikukorera abantu ngu mube focus mwine ekimwerekyerire mukihamirire muguma aha muramwa okureba ngu mwaguma muri kukorera abantu kandi mwaguma nimubakurikiza mugume nimukimanya nabwe ngu ebyetengo mutakayebwa okwikiriza ebyetengo ebirikubetagisa nka ebitongole kandi murebe ngu mwaguma muteekateeka hari ekyo mwaguma nimubimanya nk'ebitongole mushime kuba nimuhikiriza nkija kubayamba kumaraho ebintu bimwe na bimwe birikugambwa haza bitabonire bitashobire aha kya hipozi na kitazi ningashi hipozi tizona nk'eki ziriya ezo mu maizi hipopotamasi enjubu hamwe na kitazi kitanenda kushana nka entare konka omu Uganda nija tutuzire mu kitazi ziryo muri South Africa nimuzikoreraga yagamba ahari ekyo arikugira ngu hipozi ningashi enjubu n'abakuru kitazi n'abato kandi Kigezi Civil Society Organization ni ekitebe kikyari omu myaka ya buto munahabwa ekyo mufe okureba ngu mwahikirira abatwabe n'inyeto esinga atezo mwahikirira ebyetengo byabo habwokuba ngu muteguna n'oburyo bw'okureba ngu babasa kuja kugumizamu ahi murabe mwahika nibo barishe kuba nibagumizamu kandi nabwo nitwetenga civil society ningashi ebitongole ebirikukorera abantu ebikwataniise kandi mwongere kuhamya n'okugaruza amaani omu kitongole nikyo kimwe ngu nka NGO forum Uganda National NGO Forum behiireyo okureba ngu babasa kuba nibabashagika kandi yagamba nta kintu ky'okugeraho honest dialogue ningashi okugira nk'empanurana n'okuganira ekiri kyo ky'amazima mukozesa amazima mwani bwihikaana na development partners abakwatanamu mu byentunguka okwenda ngu mubagambire ekiri kukora n'ekitarakora nabwe ngu tureke okuza kuhamirira okusirikiriza okweshwijuma orukurikirira okushwijuma ebitongole byanyu burukurikirira aha byetengo bya abari kuheereza obwezi donor driven evaluations ngu ahobwe mwege okwega okureka kwega kandi n'okugaruka mu kwega kwenda ngu tubase kuba nitugenda omu maisho yagira ngu nka Uganda National NGO Forum nibashemererwa munonga okukwatanisa na Kigezi Civil Society Forum kandi nibehayo okukwata omukono gwanyu mwaba nimuzagwiriza obwo omubutongole okubasa kugenda omu maisho mwebali munonga abaturikize tuza kwakira ori kukorera NGO Bureau eki ni ekitebe ekirikujunanwa okureba ngu kandi kyabasa kuba nikyererekyerera nikikwatakwata mu bikwatirana n'amateeka gari kukuratirirwa ab'ebitongole ebitari bya government. We are going to invite at this moment the Executive Director of the NGO, Uganda NGO Bureau, Mr. Stephen Okero, and he is the NGO Bureau is responsible for regulations as far as the NGOs are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. The guest of honor from GIZ, the Chief Administrative Officer Kawale. I do not know if we have a representative of the RDC, because I saw them on the program. Okay, in the absence, the Executive Director, Angel Forum, the Chairperson, Kigezi Civil Society Forum, and the entire Executive Committee, the local government officials present, development partners present in the room, the NGO representatives, all invited guests, all ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. First of all, I want to tell you that yesterday I almost had a brain jam because it was a very tough decision for me to make and to see whether I would be able to be here or not, because I was somewhere in Hoima having an event, and Robert, who has been my long-time friend, was emphasizing that I must be here. And so I was in total confusion whether I will be able to make it today or not. In the morning hours, I was with the EDNG Forum and his team, as Sarah and Andrew. But I can tell you that I could not commit to them because I was not sure whether I would make it. I requested my driver to calculate all the different distances to Kawale from Hoima, the kilometers and the hours. And I can tell you the shortest was supposed to be around 7 hours drive. And I can tell you by 4:30, I just had to make one solid decision to ensure I would drive all the way and get here. And by 11:30, we were checking in, and thanks to Robert for organizing all that. So I'm glad to be here. It's a very big honor that at least this would have been the first invitation I'm failing to actually respond to for this area. I have attended all meetings and invitations that have been invited for here. So I'm glad that it wasn't the first opportunity to let them down, and I'm here present, and I thank God for that, for the safe journey up here. I am Okello Stephen, the Executive Director, NGO Bureau. The NGO Bureau is a semi-autonomous entity under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. It's mandated to oversee all NGO operations in the country. It registers NGOs, it regulates them, it monitors them, and also coordinates a number of their activities and ensures that they're doing the right thing. Let me start by appreciating the overall role that NGOs and the civil society as a whole have played in complementing the government. It's a fact that we don't take that for granted, just the way the cow has stated. These are actually a third sector in the country. We have the government, we have the private sector, then the civil society are there. Just as the EDNG Forum indicated, we have so many actors in the civil society arena, and it's good that this organization is going to try to bring everyone on board, but we appreciate the overall effort they all play in the national development of this country, because at the end of the day, this is our country, and it's our responsibility to do everything to ensure that we are all doing the right thing. Over the years, we have seen that government has put a very comprehensive regulatory framework for the NGOs operating in this country. And I'm glad that over the years, we have also seen more and more NGOs beginning to have a proper appreciation of what they're supposed to do. But also I'm glad that over the years, we have seen more collaboration and coordination in everything we're actually doing. Just the way the Kigezi Civil Society Forum is being formed to bring together the the different CSOs and all these NGOs and CBOs under it. Even on the government side, we are pushing forward to have what we call an interagency platform, where all the different government MDAs can also come together and speak the same language. Because you see, at times you do not want you are speaking one language this side and another fellow government entity is also speaking a totally different language. So it is something that is also in the pipeline, and once it really starts, we hope that it's going to be for the good of the country, the same way this forum is also being launched today. Now, my biggest call to all the civil society actors is the element of being transparent and accountable. That is the biggest thing on the table at all times. Because the ED Angel Forum has indicated that all these regulatory frameworks in the country, and you need to do everything to ensure that you are transparent and accountable to all your stakeholders at the end of the day. We also have the district angel monitoring committees and sub-county angel monitoring committees that were put in place. I'm glad that the CAO, who is so busy, has actually spared time to sit in up to now. The reason why I was praying hard, he keeps around until I say something, is because he's the chairperson of this committee. And I can tell you that we have moved around the country. Even in Hoima, I was doing a similar thing for the Bunyoro sub-region. These committees, we are not seeing them operational in so many parts of the country. And even the ones that claim the operational are doing totally wrong things, because either they do not know what to do, and at the end of the day, a number of things either end up going wrong. So in particular, I'm calling upon the Chief Administrative Officer that you can also get in touch with your colleagues in the Kigezi area to ensure that these district and sub-county NGO monitoring committees are operational. Because once they're operational, I can assure you that the work you are going to do and engage with all these organizations under you is going to be more streamlined and easy, and actually much easier to handle. Now, the other thing I will also request the CAO and also the Kigezi Civil Society Forum to do is to ensure that all these organizations are signing MOUs with the authorities. Because you see, MOUs are for the good of these organizations. Before MOUs were introduced, I will tell you that so many organizations complained that either government officials or local government officials would just wake up one day and introduce things which they were not understanding. Now, MOUs are supposed to safeguard all the parties. That the moment I'm operating in your area, can we sit down, put what our relationship, responsibilities, and obligations are going to be, so that at the end of the day, there's no one contradicting the other. And that means that that becomes a very strong instrument that guides our operation as we develop this country. Now, I have a very special message on some of the key things we would expect to see from this Kigezi Civil Society Forum as it comes on board. I have already seen a lot of them in their plans as they are coming on board. The first one I would humbly request them to focus on is the issue of compliance of the members. I'll tell you that the biggest work the CAO has with this team is to ensure that your members are compliant. And the fact that you are now putting up something to try and reinforce what Angel Forum was trying to do around the country, it's important that you ensure that all your members are compliant. And something else that we need to also appreciate is that ignorance of the law is not defense. You cannot come out and say, I'm sorry, I did not know these things, forgive me. But you see, a law is a law. It has been consulted on, it has gone through cabinet, it has gone through parliament, and therefore you have no excuse. So at the end of the day, the ignorant one will want to blame you. So my humble request is that please ensure all your members are compliant. The other one, of course, is that as you take up this mantle of this forum, you are supposed to provide leadership. Leadership is something which you should never back off from. And remember that as a leader, you're a mover. As you said, you're going to encourage all these people to come and look up to you, but they need your leadership. The cow said is very happy. You people are coming on board. That means it's counting on your leadership. So the chairperson and the team, the executive team, the committee, leadership is going to be your main, the biggest thing expected out of you from all the members you have. The third one is that we have had so many discussions with Angel Forum and even Deliver on the issue of self-regulation. Self-regulation is something very key. That means that do not wait for the enforcers of these laws to be the ones to come up to you and tell you that you are not being compliant. You need to self-regulate yourself. I'm aware that Angel Forum is working closely on that. I request that you join them and ensure that you promote self-regulation. Because the moment you promote that, you be sure that you are going to institutionalize professionalism. You're going to ensure that there's quality assurance of all your members. Ethics and integrity is going to be followed. We are going to see transparency and accountability among your members. So self-regulation is that try to regulate yourself first without even waiting for whether a regulator or any arm of the government to come and tell you something. But the other thing also I want to request from the forum as you launch today is that you need to collaborate, partner and work closely with the different arms of government. First, start with the local government where the cow is. I can see you already have a good relationship. My humble request is maintain it. But also in addition to that, you have so many other arms of government. You have the leading ministry like Minister of Internal Affairs, you have the NGO Bureau, and you have so many other stakeholders you work with. So I request that you maintain a very good collaboration with them. And if possible, if there are any emerging issues coming up, engage them. Do not wait for them to come to you. You go to them and raise it. Don't wait for the cow to look for you. Go to the cow and say the following issues are coming up. Because at the end of the day, the cow is the one to become your spokesperson. To tell the rest of the colleagues, even at the national level, that your forum is making a very huge contribution in the area. So you need to maintain that level of collaboration and partnership with them. But also the other thing is that as you indicated, that you are interested in participating in these policy formulations. That's a very critical area. I'd love to also take this opportunity to inform everyone that the NGO Bureau is taking a lead under Minister of Internal Affairs in reviewing the NGO policy and the NGO Act. That means that as this process starts, we shall work closely with the NGO Forum and other key stakeholders at the national level. But at the regional level, you need to play your part too. You need to know that this is something that's ongoing. Start encouraging your members to read and extract issues, what they're not okay with, what they want to see improved, so that at the end of the day, all these instruments that guide you, you are really appreciative of them. But of course, the other thing I would love to encourage you to do is to tell your members to read. I don't know whether it's an African problem, but we have a very poor reading culture. People do not read. I've moved around the country discussing the NGO regulatory framework. People have copies of these documents. They have gathered dust in their offices, but they do not have a clue of what is inside. So try and design a mechanism where you're going to encourage your members to read, because if they do not read, their ignorance will not be defended. Because I will tell you that what happens is that there is always what is in theory, and that's what is in these laws and books, but also there's what is in practice. People always are comfortable designing and starting to lean more to what is in practice, then they make it turn out to become the law. But at the end of the day, the fact that there are laws and instruments in this country, you need to follow them up keenly. Now, something else also for the forum is that I'm aware that your members have work plans and budgets. You need to encourage them to share them with all the key stakeholders. The COW chairs the District Technical Planning Committee. The COW is the lead when it comes to budget conferences in the district. Ensure that in the different districts where these NGOs and even CBOs come from, ensure that they are part of these conferences and they are also sharing their work plans and budgets so that they can be harmonized and all the parties are at the end of the day speaking the same language. Because the COW will only speak for you if you are sharing your work plans and budgets with them. Now, the other thing I want to call upon you is that you need to be very consistent in your operations. You need to remain very responsible and very accountable in everything you do. Because today if you start very well and tomorrow you are not performing to the level that people expect from you, then you know that it's going to raise a lot of questions. But of course, there are key things I would request you to do and communicate to your members. One is that there are a number of organizations in this country. When they are starting the operations, they develop their own internal governing documents, their constitutions, memorandum and articles of association. No one coerces them because it comes out of their passion. But I will tell you that for all the years I've worked at the NGO Bureau, I will tell you people do not even know what is in their own internal governing documents. My request to you is that encourage your members to start by reading that even before they read the laws and policies of this country. Can they appreciate their own internal governing document? Because if they do not, then they're going to end up doing very wrong things. We have seen organizations where one person is not following their own structures. You end up sitting on your board, you are everything in the organization, and you have all heard of the founder-member syndrome where you want to hold on to everything. Otherwise, if you do not encourage members to acquaint themselves with their own internal governing documents, then people are going to not last for long. I'll tell you that in 2019, we carried out a verification and validation exercise of all NGOs. At the beginning of the exercise, we had 14,207 NGOs. But by the end of the exercise, when we finished the first phase, the number had already dropped to 3,810. As we talk now, the number of NGOs operating in this country has further dropped to 2,000. And I can tell you, one of the biggest factors is what I'm talking about. People throw out the element of corporate governance. They think that corporate governance is for some people out there, and yet all these organizations who are your members need to adopt all the best practices that are out there when it comes to NGOs and even the CBOs out there operating. But of course, the other thing you need to encourage your members on under this are the different laws in this country. They should not only focus on one and then tomorrow another catches up with them. We have the Anti-Money Laundering Act. You need to look at it keenly, and so many other laws. So encourage your members that at the end of the day, if one law is catching up with them, ignorance won't be their defense. Now, the other message I also had for the forum in relation to all this is that the civil society, and particularly my interest here is the NGOs and the CBOs, have a very weak sustainability. That means that today, I've already had it come from the EDNGO forum. Today we shall all be excited in this room launching the forum, but after a year we do not want to see that the forum is no more. And I can tell you that one of the biggest reasons is because of the weak sustainability. Meaning that you start with all the passion, the excitement, but because you do not have the resources to move on, you cannot last for long. If you look at the NGOs in this country, I do not know what percentage you would agree on in this room of the NGOs that take care of their own resources. I can tell you that over 95% or even 99% of NGOs depend on foreign donations. But the question is, what happens when these donations dry up? There are so many global trends that emerge all the time, and you see that it's not the fault of the funder, but because of the global trends dictating, they cannot continue to fund it. COVID has just shown us a very big example. So many NGOs and civil society organizations, they lost funding, not because these people did not want to fund them, but because the circumstances dictated on them. We have seen the issues of migration, so many global things happening. And at the end of the day, someone who used to fund you, someone who made you give a lot of hope to your beneficiary, tells you, we are sorry, we can no longer either fund everything you asked for, or else we have to cut your budget by over half, or else we are sorry, we can no longer continue completely. GIZ may support you today. All of us saw what happened to DGF. So, and I can tell you, organizations are limping. I do not know any that has closed yet, but I know of so many who are downsizing already. They call me all the time and say, how long are we going to hold on to this employee? Because now we are trying to keep this employee and see how long we can pay, because their salary was coming from DGF. So, as a forum, as a network or an umbrella in this sub-region, can you drum the message of sustainability? Sustainability will give a lot of independence, it will also give a lot of security. The moment you have your own sources of raising resources, you know that you're more firm and independent than someone who is relying on only donations. I keep telling everyone, anywhere I go, that the moment you are someone who relies only on foreign donations, you will automatically shift from being demand-driven, where you know what you want and your interests, the same way you're telling us what you want to do, to becoming supply-driven. Supply-driven is that now you start dancing to the tune of whoever has the money. Meaning that if someone says, I have the money, but what you're telling me is not my interest, then you are going to end up adjusting your interest and what was your original passion to suit theirs, just because you want the money. So you need to work on sustainability. Under the NGO Act, Section 46 has given the leeway that much as NGOs in this country are defined to be non-profit making, it has given an exception that you are not supposed to be there for your own economic gain, but if it is for the gain of the organization and for the purpose of supporting your objectives, it's okay. That means that encourage your members to start getting income generating activities on the side. So, yesterday in Hoima, I was informing the different stakeholders there, and I gave them an example in relation to this subject matter, that all of us here know an organization called UHMG. At one point, UHMG was the most powerful NGO in this country. You turn on any radio, on any TV station, they were there. They were sponsoring so many programs at grassroots everywhere. But I will tell you that along the way, they really took trouble with their donors. And even if they try to resolve the issues, the donors finally pulled out. And since they had one sole big donor from the US, it greatly affected them. But did UHMG finally close because of that? The answer is no. As UHMG had the opportunity of getting these resources, they built a whole building for themselves somewhere in Tinda. They constructed warehouses around Kampala. And for this entire period when they had no donor, they have been able to actually survive and sustain themselves. So my advice to all the leaders, Angel Forum, the different angels, but the forum in particular, Kigezi Civil Society Forum, encourage your members to pay attention to sustainability. Otherwise, tomorrow we are going to see people closing up. After a year, we shall all be here, the people who are witnesses here, and you know more. So we request that you focus on that. But the other thing which I want also humbly request you to do, I have already hinted that the district angel monitoring committees and sub-county angel monitoring committees are either not operational, or even the ones that are operational are not doing the right thing. As a forum, can you pick more interest in this? Can you ensure that you are working closely with the COW to ensure that all the DNMCs in this area are operational, and whoever sits there has the right capacity? Because they're sitting there, but I do not know what to do, so I start doing my own things, which again becomes a problem to the NGOs. But in addition to that, on that committee, there is also the representative from your sector, the NGOs. Can you have interest in that? We do not want you tomorrow to say we do not know who represents us there. Can you have interest in who represents you on these committees? Now, the other thing also I wanted to specifically state to the forum that is being launched, that over the years, I'm aware that you have been a very key actor in this sector for so many years. There has been a lot of mistrust. You find the government side does not trust the angels do not trust the government. And it's a mutual mistrust. It's not a one-sided mistrust. Your biggest task is to cure that mistrust. You are not coming on board to actually fuel it more and say, please, we're enjoying this mistrust. Can it? Or because if you fuel the mistrust, you increase the gap and you destroy the working relationship. At the end of the day, it's one country, we need each other, and we need to work as a team. So one key thing the forum is going to have to do is to cure the mistrust that has been there, so that we are all working as a team. And of course, the last thing for the forum that I want to also request is that your biggest success and the success of your members is their good relationship with the community leaders and the communities they work in. The most important stakeholder in this whole arena are the people at the grassroots. Because that is where you need to mobilize communities, you need to gain their trust and confidence. So my request is that as you take up this mantle, can you ensure that you are working and having a good relationship with them? If you bypass them and undermine them because they look illiterate, be sure that these are people who have all the trust and confidence of your so-called beneficiaries. So I request that you work closely with them. So in concluding everything that I've got to say, once again, I want to appreciate the complementary role that is played by the civil society in this country. I also want to commit that our work as the NGO Bureau is not to destroy organizations. We are there to do everything to give you an enabling environment. We may not be where we want to be, but also we are not where we used to be. For any actor who has been there, you will see that at least this country has moved to some point. So as you come on board, ensure that you are coming to reinforce that, and we keep moving in the same direction, and ensuring that we are doing the right thing at the end of the day. But of course, lastly, I want to thank everyone present here in your different capacities. Please for sparing time to be part of this launch, because I know this launch is a historical event to everyone that is in the Kigezi sub-region, because it's important to them. And I commit that we shall continue working together as the NGO Bureau, together with the actors at national level, and the Kigezi Forum. But also I call upon all the stakeholders here to give support to the forum, because it is through our support, any form of support, it could be advising them, it could be resources, it could be, because they've already told you that they're relying on an ED or someone to host them, give them resources. It means that it's a shared responsibility. So let's all see how we can support them. But overall, I wish you all the best after this launch. It's a very big mantle, and you have a lot to contribute to this country. For God and my country, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for Mr. Stephen Okello. He's the Executive Director of the NGO Bureau, and it works under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Which is our voice of Kigezi, which is ni Omami Stephen Okello, kandi okunakulira ekitongole ekya NGO Bureau nkikolera hansi ya Ministry y'ensonga z'omunda y'ihanga, kandi yanakira ngu yasima munonga obuvunaanyizibwa obw'ebitongole bitali bya gavumenti obubwine emirimo yi balikorera omu ihanga eri, kandi mu myaka okwizire neehinguraho bizire nibareeba okukwatanisa kw'amaani munonga hagati y'ebitongole ebyo ebitali bya gavumenti kandi na gavumenti nk'oku Kicsof egi niyo Kigezi Civil Society Forum okwizire hamwe erikureetako ebitongole bitali bimwe na bimwe ebirikukorera abantu okuba hamwe muna aha rubaju rwa gavumenti nabo bariyo nibakora ekintu nikyo kimwe ekyokureeba ngu kandi ebitongole ebya gavumenti nabyo byabaasa kwisha hamwe ag'okukorera kurungi abantu. Ebyo nibyo ebitongole bya NDAs, ministries, departments na agencies. Ebyo n'ebitongole bya gavumenti. Civil society ningashi ebitongole ebirikukorera abantu nagira ngu ekintu kimwe kyarikwenda okureeba ngu nikikorwa kandi kitakahoho n'okureeba ngu habaho okukorera omu mazima kandi n'oburinganiza okahereza n'okushobororera abantu ekiri kyo eky'amazima. Arebire obukiiko bwingi munonga burikukora konka obumwe obw'amagomborora nangwa n'aha district tiburikukora emirimo yaabwe ekushubye kuba nibukora hakikwatiriine n'okureebuuza emirimo y'ebitongole ebyo bitari bya gavumenti ningashi ebirikukorera abantu. Aho niho yagumirizamu okubaasa kuba nagamba aha kintu ky'okugira ngu habeho okuhandiika endagaano z'okwikirizana memorandum of understanding MOUs okugira ngu ebitongole hamwe nabirikukorera boona babaase kurindwa okugira ngu rubaju rwona rumanye ekirushubye kuba nirukora kandi rwerekererwa omu nshonga nk'ezo n'ekikenerwa ky'okureeba ngu byagumizamu kukora kurungi omu ihanga omu mirimo yaabo na obuheereza. Obutamanya buragiro turwekwaso kugira ngu toine mushango muningashi tuwashobya yagira ngu nikirungi munonga nka Kicsof turiyo nitutongozaho mwamuriyo nimutongozaho mwabaasa okureeba ngu buri memba yabaasa okuba namanya niki ekyashemeye kuba nakora buri kitongole ekiri omu Kicsof kyabaasa kuba nikikuratirira ebiragiro ebyo eby'ihanga obutabimanya turwekwaso by'okubihenda nobaasa kushanga nomanya kimwe kandi ekindi otari kukimanya. Aho niho yagirira ngu mushome munonga mubyetegereze obwebembezi nka Kicsof mukore munonga kureeba ngu mwabaasa kuba bebembezi abo bebembezi nabo barikutambuza ebintu nibaasa kutambura kurungi kandi na okweregulatinga ningashi okureeba ngu wayekyeka wayekyebera otyo n'okuratira ebiragiro ahi otyo n'obikora omu kwikirira otagiire kutegereza abarikubita omu nkora kuba nibo biija kukugambira nikiija kubahwera kukora kurungi kandi n'okukorera omu buringaniza n'amazima otebwe kiyagamba okukora kurungi na emikoro yoona ningashi ebitongole ebindi ebya gavumenti na gavumenti harimu gavumenti z'ebyanga kandi n'abandi bakwata nama mwanyine eshonga zoona mutetegereza kubanza kwija ngu babanze babahikirire kureka mugende mubahikirire. Yagamba aha kintu ekya NGO Bureau ngu bariyo nibashwijima omu iteeka erikukwata aha bitongole ebitari bya gavumenti kandi na iteeka erikukwata aha bitongole ebitari bya gavumenti ngu kandi niija kubahikirira bareeba nka Kicsof Kigezi Civil Society Forum mukiine omu nteekateeka zanyu ekyokugira ngu mwenda kwejumbira omu kukora amateeka gatari gamwe na gamwe kandi niija kubahikirira kukonka mugambira ba members banyu bashome babaase okwetegereza ebyo. Kandi yagamba ahashonga yanampa burogu ye bari munongo mwami Simon bya mukama yagamba omwami Okero yanagamba kintu ekya work plans na budgets murebe mumwabaza kuba nimuzibagana n'abakwata nama bamanye nicyo kimuryo nimukoraho barebe okuba kubasa okubashagika yanahendera ari kugamba nshonga yo kureba ngu mwabasa okuba nimukorera aha kintu kya sustainability kumanya obuhangazi obwa ebitongore byanyu mwaba muri omu Kicsof ningashi ekitebe kiri kubareetera hamwe murebe kyagumiza mukita ebitongore byanyu birikorera abantu byagumiza mubita angu kandi mukorera n'aha nshonga ya obutesigana hagati ya gavumenti na n'ebitongore bitari bya gavumenti mutaza kuhemba umuriro omu butesigana obwe ahubwo mukorere omukureba ngu habaho kwatanisa habaho kwesigana kwenda ngu obutesigana bubase kuba nibubaho obuzare hagati ya gavumenti hamwe na n'ebitongore ebyo bubase okuba nibubaho yasima munonga oku ebitongore bitari bya gavumenti okubera okushagika gavumenti omukwisya abantu obuhereza ngo kandi omu bitinisa byanyu yabasiima habw'okwisha hamwe na n'okwisha mukoro ogu oteebwe na ekyokugira ngo NGO bureau teriho okubaasa kushenya ebitongore bitari bya gavumenti kureka eriho okubaasa kubishagika okwemereraho kandi na n'okwombekwa bikabaasa kuhama yebe mnonga omubugufu ebyo nibyo omwami Okero Stephen yabaza kuba nagamba mu rurimi olungereza konka nabivunura kwenshoga y'abawulikiza beita bari Voice of Kigezi FM eryo nehereza omukoro ogu okugurya nigugenda omu maisho kandi nindeeba edakiika zaba 2 ezirikubura ifayika asha mukaaga nitwisha okuba ntuhendera asha mushanju nabwo ekyo twine akaire kakye turyo yebare mnonga turyo nitwerekerera okubaasa okuba nitwakira another keynote speaker omugambyo ndijo ogu naza kuba ari omugyenyi waitu omukuru bw'izooba eri naza okuba natuhereza orubazo rwe konka atakatuhire orubazo rwe naninyenda ntware omugisha okubaasa kuba nenyeta omwami Robert Byamugisha Kakuro mu chairperson bwa Kicsof Kigezi Civil Society Forum abugira ngo omugyenyi waitu omukuru naza kuba natwera omukutongozaho kitebe ekyo ekya Kigezi Civil Society Forum animisha okushaba omwami Byamugisha okubaasa kwisha akabaasa yatwerekerera enkoreegi ey'okutongozaho ningashi launch obwe omugyenyi waitu omukuru atakizire okubaasa kuba natwedressinga kandi akatongozaho eki ekya Kigezi Civil Society Forum omwami Byamugisha Robert Kakuru.
Robale mwana witu Brenda kwanza mtu mkuru speech yao twaza kuri part of the speech permit us to do it kandi twaza kushaba my team wewe ndio Florence na Simon ako katumaza kuleta hagata na mpitiza hano ye kwangu hisero na Dennis for Kalandi children will know that we are extremely so much happy for that kind of advice, directions you have given this forum. We are so much happy about the guests, those who came in late. I think we expect the RDC Kicsof to be with us in the room. If not, he's maybe being stopped by the rain outside. Also, RDC Kawashi has run and his will be down. As soon as they arrive here, we shall recognize them. The vice chairperson, chairperson of C5, one is standing in for chairperson of C5, Kicsof, is also here with us. And we are happy to have those important local government leaders with us. So, before here, the guest of honor is going to be invited. I need to be advised. And the part of the launch is him to disorganize this thing here. It is for you, Mr. Guest of Honor, you just confirm it with your signature, because we shall put it in a very nice glass for it to be people know that you launched this today. So at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to invite the Guest of Honor, Mr. Tusime Grace, who is representing one of our greatest partners, GIZ, and the European Union, to come over here. Can I have, is it a payroll marker or something? Where is, the marker is here. He's going as part of it to append his signature, wherever we put it, whether in logo or the paper. The Guest of Honor is allowed to disorganize anywhere. So please, those who are taking the pictures, these are very important pictures we can never miss. Thank you. Keep standing next, sir. Can I also request the ED, National Bureau for NGOs, our regulator, Mr. Stephen Okero, to come and confirm that this forum has been launched today with appending your signature here. And then I also request the Chief Administrative Officer, and after signing, you stand near the Guest of Honor. It is a way of requesting my bosses to take pictures with us as they sign. Please append your signature to confirm. So Chief Administrative Officer, Mr. Timba Edmond, who is our very good collaborator and advisor in this sector, can also take this opportunity to invite the President of all NGOs in Uganda, Executive Director, Uganda National NGO Forum, Mr. Moses Isoba, to take the signature here of to confirm that really we have to maintain this spirit. Can I also take this opportunity to invite Josephine Chonko, who is helping us in programming this. We have the Guest of Honor, but we have one who is a focal person in programming all the activities here, GIZ. She's confirming that the money is coming. Clap for her, please. So once she stands here, so please stand with the Guest of Honor, Madam. We have one representing Soro local government, the chairperson of Sufai. We have the RDC yet with us. Ruchika, exactly. Please come. Ruchika, come and attend this signature. Ruchika, LC5 chairperson, is with us here, and we are so much grateful. Attend the signature and keep with the Guest of Honor. Thank you very much. Can I request the executive of the forum members, please stand near the Guest of Honor for this picture. Kindly hurry up. Penina, and Samuel, please be near there. I hope I'm being part. Please, Dennis. And this is part of the accountability that if it dies, we are accountable to after. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Can I at this moment request all others to resume your seats, and then the Guest of Honor proceeds with his speech. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Guest of Honor, feel free to come and stand here and give your remarks, and then we shall be proceeding to the end. Over to you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you so much. My name is Blessed Tusime. I am the technical advisor for Ankole region, that is Barara, the Greater Barara area, and Busheni. So today I'm standing here in the capacity of the coordinator for the Southwest region of GIZ. The Southwest region covers the Kabale area, Barara area, and Potpoto area. So this is the representation of this entire region. I was invited here as a Guest of Honor, but where government is, we are just a partner and the government is the Guest of Honor. So I would like to, recognize that we subscribe to the government of Uganda and we respect that role for them. But thank you, Kicsof, for giving us this opportunity. I'm going to talk a little bit about GIZ and our cooperation with the government of Uganda. GIZ is a a German federal enterprise. It's a state-owned company, and we work in collaboration with the government. We have an understanding with the government of Uganda from 1964. Our cooperation goes way back up to 1964. And we are in the thematic areas of water, energy, rural development, and governance. The program that we work with here, with Kicsof and many other partners in Kabale, is under the governance thematic area of GIZ. So this program is called CASP, which is Civil Society in Uganda Support Program, and we fall under the governance and civil society program of GIZ. This program has been running since 2016, and it is scheduled to come to the end in October of 2022, this year that we are in. But this does not mean that we shall end the cooperation we've had with the various civil society organizations in this region. We foresee that we shall continue working with you in furthering your programs. So what does CASP do? CASP focuses on promoting and enabling environment for CSOs in Uganda. We promote meaningful and structured participation of CSOs in the domestic issues, and we try to increase CSOs' capacity to perform their roles as independent actors. Today I was asked to talk about how can development partners strengthen the capacities of CSOs in the areas of partnership, network building, resource mobilization, to improve the welfare of civil society. So as GIZ, we are a development partner. Many of us view us as donors, but I would like to say that we are not donors, and this was a big point of contention when we came into this region. A number of CSOs, when we tell them the way we work, they would lose interest in working with us. So, unlike very many other donors, GIZ, I would like to say we work like, we give more of a fishing hook than the fish. The fish is good, yes, but when that fish is finished, when you finish eating that fish, you might not be able to get another fish. So our program is basically to empower civil society organizations to increase their self-sustainability. The ED of NGO Bureau who spoke before me talked about this, that the donors will come and give you money, but at the end of the day, the donors come with their own interests. A lot of discussion is about this. What is your interest as a civil society organization? What is your interest as Kicsof today? When you formulate your network or your CSO, you make your own vision, mission, and objectives. But remember, the donor that is coming from the US, from Germany, or from the EU, they also have their own mission, vision, and objectives. Okay? But because they have the money, you, the CSO, has to change your own objectives to fit within the objectives of someone who has the money. So this makes you lose your ground, and when this donor gets out, that means you have to readjust your objectives to another donor you're expecting. So what does this mean for us as civil society organizations? It means that we have to look at ways of self-sustainability. And one of these means to self-sustainability is what you're doing here today, Kicsof, coming together of CSOs to work together in a group. I would like to give an example of animals in the wilderness. The EP of the NGO Forum talked about this. He used an example of a cheetah and the hippo. But the way you were speaking, I think you're still a cheetah. You put yourself in the category of the hippo, but I think there is still so much to learn from the hippos of Uganda. As the cheetahs, we still have a lot to learn. So I'd like to give an example. When lions are hunting, one of the most dangerous animals for them to hunt is a buffalo. But the buffalo is also one of the most abundant animals in the wilderness for the lion to eat. So how do they hunt the buffalo? Remember, buffaloes eat in a group, okay? They are like Kicsof. But what they do, they come and scare and chase the buffaloes in a group. And they keep chasing them until they spot one which is starting to get out of the group. Then they corner it and make sure it goes out of the group. Because if they chase the group, the buffaloes will trample the lions and they die. So they wait for one that gets out of the group, meaning it is vulnerable. So what you're doing here today is that you are putting yourself in a more powerful position by working in a group. And therefore, you will not be you will only be vulnerable if you start to break apart and want to go in an individual basis. Yes, you have individual strengths as different CSOs, but you come together in an association, you bring these individual strengths together, that means you will be much more stronger. I was given 15 minutes. I don't think I'll be able to complete them. But what I would like to conclude with, as GIZ and the Governance and Civil Society Program, we foresee a future where we will continue to partner with you and work towards a stronger Kicsof. With these few words, I would like to appreciate the opportunity given to us and officially launch, like we did, Kigezi Civil Society Forum. Thank you so much for God and my country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blessed Sime of the GIZ. Another round of applause for him. Abaturikiza kwiso Kigezi FM izambere kushumira omwa muhurikirize n'omwami Blessed Sime kandi nakorana n'ekitongore ekya GIZ nakora omukyanga ekya ankore kandi nwe omuhabuzi wa omulingo gwa tekiniko ogw'ekikugu yishashwekire omugyenyi waitu omukuru kandi we yabadde omugyenyi mukuru omukitiinisa ekyo yabazwekire omwami Yohan Laborage ogwo nibwe coordinator ningashi mushuganisa ahabwa emirimo ya GIZ omuri barengera bwiza bwa Uganda. GIZ n'ekitongore ekiri kukwatanisa omu by'entunguuka na ekyo kitebe ekitugo nikitongozaho eriisobe kya Kigezi Civil Society Forum ne bakwatanisa munonga na GIZ okureba kandi emirimo yabasa kuba negenda omu maisho n'abakwatanaama nabo ningashi development partner. Omwami Blessed Sime yagamba munonga kintu kyokureba ngu habaho okuhindura bigendererwa okashanga omuntu nazinira ekizino ekya oyine ekishaho kya sente noshanga kandi habaho okurabanisizamu kwa enkora ya ebitongore ebitari bya gavumenti kandi yahiga ebitongore ebitari bya gavumenti yahiga ekitebe ekya Kicsof Kigezi Civil Society Forum okureba ngu kyakora kyona ekiri okubasika okukira enteekateeka y'okwegemerezaho y'okwebeisaho angu kandi nka GIZ nibashigikira kimwe ekyo kibari kweta self sustainability by'okwegemerezaho nk'ebitongore ebitari bya gavumenti mukana Kicsof obumwizire hamwe mukakwatanisa angu nikiba nikyereka ngu nimwe muryo nimwikiriza gumaha miringo y'okubaasa okwegemerezaho omuringo ogw'obutuura ningashi kugira ngo mwabasa kugumizamu emyaka n'emyaka muri kuhereza abantu omuri ekyo nagira ngu habaho okukwatanisa nimugira amaani mingi angu kandi yaha ekyokureberaho ekya Buffalo ezidembe z'ekishaka embogo ente y'ekishaka niyo mbogo kandi hamwe na n'ebicuncu entare ari kugira ngo entare nizikunda okurya kandi nizikunda kurya embogo konka kurya embogo ijo yezirekire ngo nizikunda kurira hamwe embogo nizirya hamwe omu kakuku omukuku nizigenda nyingi so ekyo entare eri kukora ningashi ekicuncu n'okugumizamu kiri kuringaringa nikizirukaho emwe yari ecwa ahazindi mbogo niyo ekiri bari kurya ebabawunarwa ningashi nereka kugira amaani ga hamwe ngo amaani ga hamwe ni marungi omu kureba ngo ebitongore ebitari bya gavumenti byabaasa okuba nibigyenda omu maisho kimwe yego nikibaasa kwecwaho kigire ngu kiine amaani agaatuukakyo konka ebikwataniise byaguma biri hamwe nikiba nikimanyisa twine obushakashatsi bwa bingi munonga torikuribwa torikurabarizibwamu nana irakanira baani hago munonga nangwa n'obushakashatsi bw'okuba ogine obw'okubaasa kugumizamu orikukora nk'ekitongore nibwa buri bwingi munonga nka GIZ byaraganisa omu izina rya GIZ bari kugira ngo babaza kugumizamu okureba ngo bakwatanisa na Kigezi Civil Society Forum okureba ngo byagumizamu kugira amaani kandi ekabaasa okugumizamu okukora nana okuhama kurungi munonga yabasiima munonga eki ni ogu n'omukoro ogwa okutongozaho ekitongore ekitebe ekya Kigezi Civil Society Forum kandi muri mugendo omumaisho hano ya Severs Hotel omuri Kabare edakiika ni 18 muri cyaha mukaaga z'eihangwe asha mushanju nduija okuba nitupendera aha bwire obu ninyenda mbaase kuba nitwara omugisha okuba nituza omu mikoro eya okufundikira eki event kuba twarete okutongozaho omu bwijwire ningubatabarizya. I congratulate you all upon the launch of Kigezi Civil Society Forum. Let us congratulate ourselves again with a round of applause. It has already been done. And at this moment, I would like to invite to organize the process first. Ministers of the Resident District Commissioner, Kabare, Mr. Godfrey Nyakabuma. Mr. Godfrey Nyakabuma is a minister, and he will be giving his closing remarks for this event. And we shall receive, after him, we shall be receiving the Executive Director of the NGO Bureau to give the closing remarks. And finally, it will be the guest of honor to give the closing remarks. But first and foremost, we shall receive the Resident District Commissioner, Kabale, Ogunomshwechera wa government of the district, Omuchecha Mwembesi Winyanga of the district ya Kabale, Omwami Godfrey Nyakabuma, naza okwisha abase kuba natueleza olubazo. Yes, yebale mnonga. Nisho tutirira amaani ga hamwe okukwatanisa n'ahabulwa hanuya omwami Byamugisha Robert Kakuru chairperson wa Kicsof ariyo nahabura ngo tubaase kuba nituhinduramu akantu omu style twaheza okurira omugeni mukuru ari kugamba kukakye konka turikufunikira twahinduramu omukora tuza kwakira executive director wa NGO Bureau abaase kugira ebyagamba ari kufunikira, then executive director wa Kicsof Kigezi. Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Tuyo nitufundikira kukunavuganira konka nanayongeramu abandi bantu so mukushaba okushaba kana interest ya time okugira kubase kuba tukenderera obwire twatwakulira omugeni mukuru ari kugamba omwami Bless Tusime kuva mu GIZ kandi twatwakulire nana omwami Stephen Okero ari kugamba okundugwe executive director wa NGO Bureau So aba okushabakana n'abwa interest ya time abagira ngo atubase kuba twakira RDC wa Kabale omwami Godfrey Nyakahuma abase kuba niwe yakukira ningashi yakinga eki event. At this moment, please may you take this floor, may you take the floor and address and close this event. Sebo bana RDC etwakira okwisha okabasa okuba yokinga okukoro oku ogwa okutongoza umubishire Kigezi Civil Society Forum Kicsof and we are in hotel turi hari akashozi makaga muri Kabale municipality.
The Executive Director, Kigezi Civil Society Forum, my colleague from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, my good friend, Idi, keep corruption out of Uganda. All participants, the media, ladies and gentlemen, I'm called Godfrey Nyakahuma, Resident District Commissioner Kabale. First of all, I would like to apologize to see me without mask. We have these days a drug we apply, spray the nose. So that one stops any infection from COVID-19. So that's why you're seeing me without. I'd like to take this opportunity for inviting me to be part of this engagement where we are launching Kigezi Civil Society Forum. The government of Uganda under the National Resistance Movement appreciates the work done by the private sector. Many countries in the Middle East developed using the private sector. Uganda that spent a lot of time using the public sector as a vehicle for social and economic development, we remained stagnant for over 30 years. If you compare the countries at which were at the same level of development by 1962, and now our countries we call first world countries, and Uganda that entirely depended on the public sector, we remained backward. Now, when the NRM came in 1986, introduced what we call a private-driven economy. Private-driven economy. Under what we call liberalization of the economy that was put in place in 1998. Now, we created the public sector to run concurrently with the public sector. Now, that is the time that established civil society organization as part of the public sector. By 1986, the civil society organization that were known were the International Red Cross and Uganda Red Cross. Their main purpose had nothing to do with the development, but to rescue people from the war zones. That was the work. And those were the NGOs we had. So we all grew knowing Uganda Red Cross and International Red Cross, their work is to evacuate people from the war-torn areas. But our concept as a national resistance movement, we know you cannot develop independent of the private sector. You cannot. That's why the private sector runs parallel with the private sector. With the private sector. And that is the only way that Uganda has managed to register significant development in this country. And when I'm here to launch Kigezi Civil Society Forum, I'm very much excited. I'm very much excited that we are going to pool resources, partnering with government, and provide service delivery for our people. The Chief Administrative Officer has been here. I've also been forced to come to identify myself as a representative of central government with a civil society organization that are giving a very strong hand in terms of development. We have here Kigezi Diocese. They are partnering with government, more especially in the water sector. And their services are felt on the ground by the common man. That is part of the civil society organization. We are working hand in hand with Kick Corruption out of Uganda in the fight against corruption. And we are very much in support of the services of Mr. Kapuru's Kick Corruption out of Uganda. Now, with the creation of this Kigezi Civil Society Forum, I know we are going to register significant improvement in terms of service delivery. Our biggest challenge is my colleague, Captain Mujisha, RDC Kisoro, you're most welcome. we are launching this Kigezi Civil Society Forum at a time when we are going to launch parish development model. We are launching a parish development model which the President is going to launch on Saturday as a vehicle that is going to deliver this country in the middle income status. We expect with the parish development model, the 7 pillars that have been put in place. The civil society organization have got a big stake in partnering with government to realize its dream of social economic transformation. I can assure you, as central government and local government, we are going to give you all the support to ensure that our people get services. As a government, we believe, as an Arab government, we believe in accountability and we believe in transparency. Don't hesitate to check government. That's the reason why we have the civil society organization. Check government for the benefit of our target consumer of our services, that is the wananchi. The wananchi. Let's work together. Where you find we are missing out, there is a gap, as civil society organization feel it. Come to us. Come to us as state actors and say there is a problem there. That's why the RDC is there. There is a problem there. Chief Administrative Officer, there is a problem there. People lack services there. Our government has provided services, which services have not reached out to the people. And you should demand for explanation why. I like the media. The media actually, I'm not going to say that they call themselves, but it is true. They are the voice of the voiceless. The voice of the voiceless. We want also the NGO to come out and join the voice of the voiceless. And as NGO, now that we have Kigezi Civil Society Forum, you should demand, as your right, the development plan of the district. Demand for it. It is your right. You should know the development plan of the district, so that you see, one, you can do the monitoring. Two, you can see where to also come in and give a hand. It is a public document which you should access. And you should feel free for that. It's a public document which you must access. To help in monitoring, to help in checking government. So that, as I've told you, that as government, we promote accountability and transparency. And these documents are public documents. You have now this forum, you have one voice. Let's work together. Let's work together and promote the interest of our people. Let's work together and nurture this boy or this girl called parish development model. Let's see this project of ours, this succeed. Let's work together. Government, civil society organization, make sure that this program of parish development model succeed. Let's not be out and start criticizing. I've heard some people criticizing. This one is not going. Now, if you are in an NGO and you start criticizing, then you lose focus. I like lawyers. I know among you have lawyers. There's a word they normally use, that you give a benefit of doubt. Give a benefit of doubt. Support it and see if it fails. And if it fails, you have also failed. Because you are supposed to give a hand. I want to thank GIZ for really coming to support our Kigezi Civil Society organization, forum. We thank you so much, and I know your efforts are not going to just go like that. We want to come back here and tell you of the results right from the time we launched Kigezi Civil Society Forum. On this note, I will not take her. You, my sister, you first leave Mayara this year alone. Captain Lisha, you come and greet our people briefly, and that young girl was disturbing you. Hey, your daughter was disturbing you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for listening to me. Let me give my colleague, Resident District Commissioner Kisoro, Captain Musha, who has traveled all the way from Kisoro, say hi to you. And on my behalf, launch this Kigezi Civil Society Forum. Thank you so much. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, my colleague.
I'll request I request the RDC please stay, and we shall be signing the launch board for Kigezi Civil Society Forum. Thank you.
Because mine is just greetings from Kisoro, not observed. I'm sorry, I'm a bit late, but I had some issues to solve in the morning when I was leaving, and I communicated with you about it. But it is exactly almost the same. But I'm happy to be with this forum this afternoon, because why I have put in more effort to come here is because of this forum that helping us as government, as my colleague has said. Because as we are picking corruption out of Uganda, we need such a people like you to assist us, especially the officers of the RDCs, where we have a very good task of monitoring and following up many things. Because we have been being abused, that we are not doing anything with our officers. Thank you for this advice. I thought putting on the mask for the moment since we
as a civil society, within us, I think we have a step forward for our country. I have been even following when I was also coming in the radio, because it's live on the radio. So whatever that has been talked here, I have been following. However, I came late in sitting. But I started with you, and I'm still with you. But as he has said, for us as RDCs, we are the head of the security. We are here to support you. Using our offices to make sure that everything is done. But remember, we have intelligent people, we have bad people who can confuse us, and for them, they know. But let's join hands, put in efforts, good will benefits in whatever we do. Because if you see our community crying, making accusations here and there, and they are not being heard. But as my colleague said, when you put on your hand on your mouth, say, oh no, it will also encourage us. And those who want to do anything that they want to do badly, I think some of them will step back. And then the development of our community will improve. Because we are still behind, our community is still behind somewhere. For us, we can come and interact and do what? But when you go inside to our community there, what you see there, it's not what we talk here. And once we have you, once we have the media, once our officers ads on you, they make these things we want. But it's very unfortunate where you find that we are the heads of the security, and sometimes the security agencies are the ones who are most corrupt. When they arrest a corrupt person, they become more again corrupt. They share what they have, what they have done. Because I have told you this morning, people were coming to court, but there was a court clerk who was telling almost everybody there, if you don't bring money today, your case is going to be dismissed, or you are going to be in prison. Then I told these people, they have told me how much. One told me 25, another one told me 200, another one told me 300. You are broken? They say, you are broken. Okay, you go, because you may lose. You can't give the money to whoever has told you. And for me, I had made it trap. But the other ones who were bringing me the money, they were like, I was sympathizing with them, but I didn't have anything to do. So they went to put the money to the clerk there. The clerk received the money, while someone was tipping to his pocket. Another person entered again, did the same. You entered and arrested the man. Is that police? So he was pleading, I'm sorry. Now you are sorry for what? Why are you sorry? I don't want to delay you in that. I know you have been time on this, and my colleague has asked me that we launch, and we are going to launch. But as we are launching, let's implement what we are going to launch. With all the efforts, without fear or favor. And that's when this civil society of Kigezi, people will respect it. And once you are transparent and you are being respected, the legacy remains. So for us, with my colleague here and you, we want the leaders of this civil society for this big corruption from Kigezi and the whole country and the whole world. So I don't know the procedure yet, how we are going to do this, but I think we are going to begin.
I think I'm working with my sister Brenda.
Thank you,
But,
Didi.
here is a marker. The guest of honor and others have appended their signature there to confirm that the partnership and relationship with the forum. So you append your signature there. It is here, just making this one dirty to confirm. That's how they sign. So you will sign and he will sign. But as you sign, they will take your pictures. Over to Brenda to guide more.
Thank you.
Before Brenda comes in, I want to conclude by a word of caution. Having praised civil society organization, I want also to caution you. We as government were supposed to remain in our lane. And we beg that the civil society also remain in your lane. If, as government, leave our lane and then come to yours, you're going to clash. And when you also leave your lane and also come to politics, you're going to clash. That much we don't want. Because it's good we have our colleague from the Ministry of Internal Affairs and in charge of NGOs is here. We must have taken through you in all that, and they wanted to re-emphasize that. I'll give you an example. There is a certain man was brought to me by one of the senior persons in the district for renewal of his NGO. As our policy demands, I forwarded him to intelligence to profile that person, that NGO. Now, when the intelligence was doing its work of profiling, we realized that this NGO at one time left its lane and then moved in another lane. And at one point they clashed with the government. We said, now, there's no way we can append our signature and recommend you to renew the NGO. We still have that file there. Sir, we still have that file there. And I can assure you we're not going to append our signature there. Because of that past mistake they did. I know people always want to use NGOs for their own benefits, but don't allow them. Remain on your lane, remain on our lane. Our uniting factor is service delivery. Asante sana.
Asante sana Bwana RDC Godfrey Nyamahuma. Asante sana Bwana RDC Kisoro, Captain Peter Motisha. We were Noga. What we are going to do is sign the launch board for the Kigezi Civil Society Forum. chairperson, please avail us with the marker. Yes, it is there. We shall see you. We need some photos for a signing moment. You sign, please, anywhere. Anywhere you feel comfortable. Yeah. Thank you.
Engalo mpango mnonga. Thank you to our RDCs, RDC Kisoro and RDC Kabale, for those closing remarks. And the pledges, they have pledged a lot of support. Obuhagizi bwingi mnonga baraganiza obuhagizi bwekira civil society na Kigezi Civil Society Forum, of course. Kweka bagira ngo buli omu akore ekyashoboire kuba nakora, buli omu akore omurimo gwe, gavumenti ekora ogwayo na n'ebitongole bitari bya gavumenti bikora ogwabyo, mutataataha mu mirimo etari yanyu, buli omu akora ogwabo ogwashoboire kuba nakora. Ekyo nikyo niihamu kandi na n'obuhagizi obubaraganisa okuheereza ebitongole bitari bya gavumenti, of course bari ku appreciatinga kandi bakagarurinizinga baketegereza nibakimanya kurungi emirimo mirungi ey'ebitongole bitari bya gavumenti biri gukora okushagika gavumenti okureba ngu yaisya entunguka na n'obuheereza abantu kandi bwabaasa kuba nibukorwa kurungi. Bari kubashaba ngu mugumizemu murukora kurungi omukureebuuza ahi hari kwetengwa okugira ngo babaase kuba mbabaho omukono ninga imwe nimuheereza gavumenti omukono nakyo kibaase kuba nikikorwa. Mwebale turiyo nitufundikira kwonka tutakakire tutakakire East African Anthem, National Anthem na Kigezi Anthem bwa okufundikira na okushaba nyenda kubamanyisa ngu nisha kuba nikora ebirango bice bice twaheza anthem zezo, so mutakasiga ebirango ebyo nimisha kuba nimbikora nyezire ngu nkore ebirango ebi tutari Voice of Kigezi FM. But before then, I would like to appreciate everyone who has been who has attended this event and who has been listening in and attending online on www.bokfmradio.com and of course live on Voice of Kigezi 89.5 FM. Tubasima mnonga abokuhurikiza human muhurikiriza tusime mnonga Voice of Kigezi abokutuhereza ogumugisha kugira ngo imikorere ya Kigezi Civil Society Forum Launch yabasa kuba neburirwa hona yaba neba picked and tapped rengo kwensi yona worldwide okurabira mbikutugeitu yona okurabira mbikutuyona ya Voice of Kigezi FM. A special thank you to the ED Uganda National NGO Forum, Mr. Isoba Moses, for your presence here. The tech advisor and for the region for GIZ, who was here for the guest of honor, Mr. Tusime Bless, thank you. We thank the executive director, Uganda NGO Bureau, for being here with us. Thank you for honoring this event and your invitation here. Mr. Okelo Stephen, thank you. Thank you to Mr. Kakonge Apollo Lee, the ED Western Ankole Civil Society Forum. We appreciate your presence here. It means a lot to the Kigezi Civil Society Forum. And of course to Madam Sarah Patuso, Uganda National NGO Forum in charge of capacity building. We really appreciate Madam